What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Download Queue, episode 16. Still working on the name, don't question us. Uh, Coming at you day before Easter, almost 3 months through the year now, quarter of the year gone. And we were talking before we started, Kyle, how crazy of a year it has been already.
It has been. There's just been, there's been so much going on in the world. But in games, it's been popping off. Game Pass popping off. It's been fun.
It's definitely been. I said it before, but if you told me ending how crazy and great last year was, that we would have like immediate follow up and repeat, call you crazy. Like last year was peak, one of the best years, and now we're just getting followed up again. Uh, but in the near future, I'm excited because you're excited about a little thing called Wrestlemania. And
Yes.
I'd like to give a
Oh
shout out
man.
because you released a great video this week from someone new to wrestling, which I appreciate because I'm also not new at this point, but I started like 2018, so I've been there.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. I just wanted to talk about wrestling because as of WrestleMania 39, I started loosely following it, and then that was last year at this point, and then oh man, once the Royal Rumble hit this year, I got in, and even though I'm not loving everything they're doing. I'm just fascinated by the production of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching everything, watching all the hype packages for the shows. I'm watching Monday Night Raw. I'm watching the clips of SmackDown. It airs later on the West Coast, so I get all the clips earlier. So I'm watching it on YouTube. I'm enjoying it.
It,
Sorry, I had to clear my throat.
oh, you're good.
I'm enjoying it. It's been fun to get into, and just again, like I said, it's like the production side of it. It's fascinating to see just what they're doing and the commitment to the bit, essentially, right? And then also them putting their bodies on the line, the physicality it takes for for them to do what they're doing is just insane too. Uh, I don't like the aggressive, like, hold on, that's not the aggressive.
The
There's
extreme.
moments where like the extreme stuff, like the match at AEW the last a
The one
couple
that I
weeks ago, I
tagged you
think
in.
you tagged it. Yes, yes, that's thank you. Yeah, you tagged me in it, and I was like, that's too much for me. You know, it's like why? If me questioning why we're doing this trumps the spectacle of it in my head, like that's where I lose it. But it's been fun to get into. I am so excited to watch WrestleMania 40 next weekend. I don't know what they're gonna do. You know, the Cody Rock. There's so many directions you could take it. Cody wins, Roman wins, Rock walks away with the title. I can see it just like I can justify so many different outcomes from just that main event thing. And then you have all the other matches that are coming to solidifying as we get closer. You know, I think the card is pretty set right now. But my wife's into it. We watched SmackDown last night. She's like, "Dang it, I'm into this," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" So hey, I'm excited to see where this takes me. How long I'm gonna stay into wrestling.
Yeah, that's the question. Because I pulled it up. I started 2016, and 2016's WrestleMania was my first as well. And my best friend in Michigan, who I met through games, he don't sue us, but would like do side accounts. He'd be like, "Hey, you want to watch this? I'll make you an account to get a free trial," type thing. Watched it that night, had a blast, been hooked on it since. And I will say, I started like with WWE specifically, kind of started weaning off of it, and that's kind of when I switched to like AEW just because it was something different and the more extreme stuff happening and like oh shit moments. And that's mostly what I follow now. But still, WWE pay per views, I still tune in for every single one pretty much. I don't keep up with weekly TV, but keeping up with pay per views, keeping up with social media to be in the know still. Exciting times. I'm not quite sold on it being a 2 night event quite yet, but
Yeah, and that's interesting because that's like I didn't know that was a newer thing too. So
oh yeah.
like it just kind of made sense to me. Um, so I'm interested to see like last I only watched one night last year as well. So maybe now we schedule it out. We are watching WrestleMania next weekend. At least we're gonna try to with our 7th month old being, you know. her right now.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, maybe I understand that. Hey, maybe it doesn't need to be 2 nights, but so far I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, no.
I'm all for it.
When you get to the point where you're like, I want to watch some old stuff, and you go back and watch the older ones, and it's like a 1 day, 8.5 hour long thing you're sitting through. It's a struggle. Like it was
They were
long
eight
and
and a.
padded out. If you count like pre-show and stuff, it was close. Yeah,
That's
because they were
crazy.
doing hour and a half, 2 hour long pre-shows, whatever. And then the main card with like 12, 13 matches on it, and all the in between like interview stuff. And here's Hulk Hogan to do a little bit for 8, 10 minutes of your time, and it was a struggle to sit through.
Yeah. See, it makes sense going to 2 days. I just hope. I mean, this year seems special because we're getting, Roman headlining both, Cody headlining both nights, technically. So I feel like that can't be a norm thing, Like, I feel like you need to make
No,
both nights separate and be a thing. So that might feel weird for this one for sure. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think for sure, though, every Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. WrestleMania season, I can see myself always getting back into it and watching it again. So we'll see post WrestleMania what goes on. They could lose me if with The Rock because I am so hot and cold on The Rock. I get it. I like him. I get this character. I'm in for it, but I'm tired of him as a person being around. So they could lose me fast if they do the wrong thing with The Rock. But so far, I'm in for him being the board member, yelling at everyone, doing whatever he wants. I'm in for it.
I'm I'm excited for this week to happen. I don't know how into like the online discourse you are, but there's rumors since last year pretty much that next year's WrestleMania 41 will be coming to my home stretch in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium.
Oh,
So me and my buddy in Michigan are kind of throwing around like, do we want to spend that much money to try and go? Because I've never been. I've been to a house show for WWE, but I've never been to like a pay per view or anything. So like WrestleMania next year, I almost
yeah.
want to pull the trigger and do it.
100. I think you start saving some money just because, hey, it's good to save money, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, maybe it is in Minneapolis and maybe you find yourself there. I think it's like one of those once in a lifetime type of things. How often is it going to be in your home or near you enough?
Oh,
And
100%.
yeah, so hey, I'm on board for it. Swipe
Yeah,
that card.
I think we've had one pay per view here since I started watching in 2016, and that was I think it was Hell in a Cell when Asuka debuted. Was in Minneapolis, but that was like the only pay per view we've had for them. So do
Oh,
it.
okay.
Got a year to plan.
Yep.
Uh,
But yeah, so should be interesting this next week with wrestling.
yeah, show next week. Maybe on a weird day. Who knows? Like you said, 2 days. That's pretty much the whole weekend gone.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
we'll figure it out. Come back either completely heated or pleasantly surprised.
That's true. Yeah, I
Ah,
I want to be into it. That's all. Leave me being into it.
yeah, and it's
Whatever happens.
nice because like wrestling and gaming sort of like go hand in hand. Like
Hmm.
with the amount of wrestlers and stuff that are into games and just the gaming community, like the merging, the overlap is insane. So it's almost hard not to find someone who's like not on into both things. But
Oh, for sure. But speaking of games,
speaking of games, we got a couple to talk about. I'll throw it to you. What do you want to jump into first? We got kind of a list of stuff that's happened this week. We got some new announcements. We got some updates. Got some more
yeah,
rumors.
I want to talk about the Marvel game.
Marvel game deal done. Are you excited?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So earlier this week, announced day before official announcement, NetEase was announcing a new Marvel game. Announced, and it is a 6v6 hero shooter in the vein of Overwatch or Valorant, which I feel is very decisive for people nowadays. Um, got a decent look at characters. You'll see in the trailer everything Doctor Strange, Hulk, the usual suspects. Um, there is two in here I was kind of shocked by. Um, God, I forget her name. She will pop up. Lady Snow, Frost Snow, or something. Uh, who I guess was originally created for a mobile game they had. Like, was an original character for that, who's then since turned into a comic character, like mainline character. And then
Hmm.
at the very end, they show Galactica, Galactus's daughter, which I didn't know he had. Also a weird pull.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, initial thoughts. Are you excited? 66 hero shooter. Have you been an Overwatch fan? Are you into that sort of?
I've played Overwatch off and on. It's fun, right? I just never got deeply into it, mostly due to not having like a crew that was playing
I'm
it,
right here.
you know. But overall, I just you this is something that's gonna need to be released, and then we see what it is, and then we make our opinions on it. Because with NetEase, I just don't know. I've played I used to play the Marvel game that their mobile game they made before Strike Force. I think that's where it comes from, and then the other one they made as well. Just it's just a buffet food, right? It's just gaming buffet. You just kind of I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, but you just kind of play it, not really thinking. There's so many RPG elements to these weird games. The monetization is out of control on
Yeah.
some of their mobile games. They also made or helped develop Diablo Immortal. You know,
Oh, did they? I did not know that.
yeah, their NetEase game. I popped that open the other day. I was like, oh, NetEase. I forgot. So they had some hand in that at least. Um, and Diablo the Immortal the game is fine, but the monetization does get weird and such on a mobile game. So this is not even a mobile game. This is releasing on PC, Steam and uh, Epic Games Store. They're skipping console, which is interesting. But I wonder if this is the NetEase team. If this is their like, all right, we got our money. Let's get into a bigger market with a bigger type of game. Free to play though, you know. So is it still going to be kind of their monetization practices that they know from mobile? I don't know. It's interesting. I think the art style looks fantastic. The gameplay looks cool. The idea looks great. I think a Marvel hero shooter, duh, like finally, right? An Overwatch style. That just makes sense, you know, with the IP and the everything that Marvel is, right? It just makes sense to me. It looks fun to play, but it's going to be how long can they keep people and what is the how are they making money off of this? Because you can't just release a free to play game and not make money off of it. So that is going to be a deciding factor for me on if this is cool or not long term.
Yeah, I think the pieces are very much there for this to be a success. But like you said, it very much depends on how they carry about handling it moving forward. Because that's something even Overwatch has had to turn back on recently. When they did Overwatch 2, they were like, hey, we're doing this slightly more predatory. We're doing skins like $20, $30 a pop, and you gotta buy new heroes and stuff. And they just announced this past week as well, I think, that they're rolling that back. All new heroes are going to be free. You're just going to have them. Don't have to pay money on them to try and win some of that trust back. So it's a very like rocky slope to balance. Um,
Yeah, and you hope they learn from other people's mistakes. I mean, Battleborn, right? I think I've seen people compare this to Smite, if I'm remembering correctly off content that I
oof,
watched. I never played Smite, so I don't see it.
you're not missing much.
Uh, you know, so I wonder, as long as they've learned from the mistakes that people have made in this space already, I think it has a good chance, you know? It just, yeah, how are you making money, and is that going to negatively inverse the player base?
I think.
But I mean, what's um Bruce Banner with a Glock, a Gamma Glock? That's cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. It's the art style, I mean, it's so cool. I'm all for this stylized stuff. How does it play?
Yeah, they what did I say? An early alpha is happening in May already to jump into. Um, see Daly's team. Yeah, I guess I missed that it was skipping console until you said that. That is a strange play.
I'm for it though. I don't know. I think you balance it specific. Figure out your balancing. I mean, it's only in beta too. It doesn't mean it's never going to come out for it.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's smart to go early access, beta, whatever, alpha. I forget exactly what they're going into, um, in the next couple months, but I think that makes sense. I think long term, if this takes off, it would go go to console.
You would hope. For a little context,
And I
for
wonder. Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, please go for it.
I was just gonna say from their press release for a little background of what the game actually is, story wise. They say a merciless clash between dictator Doctor Doom and his future counterpart from the year 2099 has forced countless universes to collide in the time stream entanglement, creating new worlds in crisis still unknown. Now, superheroes and supervillains from across the multiverse must fight together and against one another as disparate groups seek to defeat both dooms before one achieves domination of these realities. Familiar faces become newfound foes, while former enemies become the greatest of allies and Marvel rivals.
That sounds exactly like the story of Marvel Strike Force, but
Does it?
I think
Oof.
but I think it's like Kang. Maybe it's Kang the Conqueror that does everything. Someone takes you. No, it's like Ultimus or something. I mean, it's how do we justify having two Iron Mans fight each other? Duh, we go multiverse. So it makes sense. I'm just it's
Yeah,
funny that
it's
their
so
story
easy for
is
them to
very
do.
it's very similar. It's just hey, Doom is our villain. Here's the MacGuffin. Here's the reason. Here's the thing. Go. So hey, whatever. I don't think anyone plays Overwatch for the story.
I mean, the story's canceled. No,
Exactly. Well,
that's
no,
a
you can't
whole
play
other
it.
ball of wax.
They just, I know, I was excited for it, but oh well.
Good old Blizzard.
But
But you
yeah,
guys,
we'll see. This is I'm liking all the Marvel games we're getting. And that they're different. Um, in a way, I just hope this is good.
well, yeah, there's a lot because now we got two recently. The first teaser for the Captain America Black Panther game. There's still the EA Iron Man game coming out. Separate, just solo Black Panther game. And I want to say there's one more I'm missing. Oh, Blade is happening.
Oh yes.
So yeah, they got quite a bit happening. This is the character I was referring to earlier that was made for one of those mobile titles that's kind of bridged the gap in between. If you're on video.
Yeah, that's so it's cool to see. Like, I mean, it's interesting that this studio has made their own characters with Marvel, and then they jump to the comics, and now they're jumping to other properties, or I guess their own game. But interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. As I said, early alpha testing in May. Alpha test in May. Have access to more than a dozen playable heroes and villains. So we will see how that goes. That's a month away. Very short turnaround from announcement to being able to play it, which doesn't happen too often anymore. On from that, something I'm very excited about, which I'm curious to hear your thoughts if you've watched or seen any of this yet. We got first gameplay setting preview, kind of the baselines for Judas from Ken Levine, Bioshock creator, very well known story guy. And I'm more hyped than I was when we got the announcement 2 years ago at this point now.
I am cautiously keeping my head or my eyes on this because I have not played BioShock, and I want to beat that this year. But I have avoided all big spoilers for BioShock. I really know nothing about BioShock outside of the first 2 hours of gameplay that I played. And unfortunately, I've heard watching something about Judas, someone referenced a thing that gave me enough of a clue to ruin something for me, I think, in BioShock. So, hey, Judas looks great. But I have not watched a ton of footage of it. Just that's my reasoning. I don't want BioShock spoiled. If I get to this long without it being spoiled and this year I get it spoiled, that's going to be a bummer.
Yeah, I'm curious what that is because based just like the gameplay. Um,
Yeah, they were talking about it, and then they referenced Bioshock, like,
okay.
and I was like, oh no, and I paused it, but it was too late. And I'm super sensitive about spoilers because my brain, I'm very imaginative, and I've been correct on a lot of my theories
You can put the
of
pieces
like
together before they happen.
going into, you know, when you go into a movie and then they kill the main cast halfway through, and then you're like, no, you didn't. You still have to fight a big robot. Transformers 3. It was in
Oh.
the trailer. Giant robot. You kill the good guys. I don't believe you. I'm sitting in the theater like, no, they're not dead.
Mhm.
Like, your whole trailer was the big robot in Chicago. Silly.
We're not stupid.
Yeah. So yeah, any little thing, I just start thinking about it too much,
No, it's
and
fair.
then when it comes up like in the game and they start hinting at it, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, is this that thing? I'm like, that's the thing that's gonna happen. I know. Anyways, we'll stop talking about Bioshock.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Judas?
No, I am. Like I said, I'm very, very excited. They were very straight up with it being. If you've played those, it's a lot of similar stuff. You have a gun in one hand, some sort of organic magic powers in the other, swapping back and forth. Um, so the building blocks are still there, but the way when they were talking to Ken, how he sort of explained how they're building the game has me more intrigued than anything. Uh, from the way they were talking, it's still going to be a linear thing, like point A to point B, not an open world sort of experience. But the game will sort of organically change and levels, quote unquote, will be moved around as you're playing. So if you make decision A at this point in time, the next immediate section of what you would be doing may be completely different or may happen at a later point or may be just entirely changed from how you would otherwise experience it if you did the other path. And he kind of said they're building off the narrative as if they were like Lego blocks that could be kind of moved around. So that idea has me intrigued. Just because, yeah, with the other three, it was very, you're doing this is a story beat, this, you're getting this here. Like, there wasn't any branching out. And the story, especially, is what carried those first three games. I'm in the minority where the gameplay is the worst part of Bioshock. Like, the gunplay is not good, but the story does enough to carry that entire experience that you want to finish it. So if they're able to just double down on that, go off. I was sold when they announced this. I knew who it was by. I'm just patiently waiting now.
Yeah, then the building block thing is super interesting from that tech side. And I mean, yeah, we just until we see it, like, you don't know how diverse it's going to be, but that's going to be like what either propels it forward or holds it back is how natural that feels. Because based on what you said and kind of a little bit of what I heard before I got one little thing spoiled for a very old game
Yeah.
that I'm still butthurt about getting spoiled. You know, can't be too mad about it. The disc is sitting right next to me technically in my desk. Like there's no reason I haven't played it. That system is super intriguing, and I'm getting more and more into that side of the games of gaming in the games industry, of learning about the development process and how they build stuff. That is super intriguing. If that could be really, if it's going to be really dynamic, if you can do multiple playthroughs and experience it very differently. Is it going to be more like procedurally feeling, you know, kind of thinking like Returnal or any game, any roguelite type of game where it keeps changing every time you go through? Is it going to feel like that just narratively, or is it going to be kind of the next evolution of it? I'm excited. I mean, I don't have anything to base it off of, like, because I haven't played Bioshock, so I don't have any hype that way, but it looks interesting, and you got my attention based off of that narrative Lego block thingy.
Yeah, and it could be, I mean, for all we know, like, it could be just marketing. Like, what he's describing could be as simple as, like, hey, instead of taking a left down this hall, you're going right this time, or something like that. But, like, I'm hoping...
Yeah, it could also be, like, very specific back-end stuff.
Yeah,
like,
I'm hoping because it's been this long. Because I think Infinite was, like, 2011, I believe? So it's been almost 12 years. Like...
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, the back end stuff is so intriguing. But yeah, it looks cool. It looks beautiful. I remember when they did the first trailer, like it looks awesome. And the hacking and run, that look the interface and everything they're doing stylistically, really intriguing for what that would mean narratively. I want to fight dinosaurs.
Space dinosaurs.
Robot dinosaur space.
Yeah, and I'm hoping. I was shocked when they announced they were doing this, that they've played 6 hours of this already. Because just from how little we've had, I was expecting this to be like best case scenario in 2025. But now, like, I don't think it's gonna hit this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was early next year already. Which, sign me up.
Yeah, letting people play 6 hours that's pretty crazy for something like this, right? Like that feels like that's not commonplace to let people play something so long. I wonder how long the game is and how big in scope it is. Did you watch or listen to anything where they kind of made it? Why did they let people play this long? About, like, was there reasoning for that?
That I didn't
Like, was
pick
it
up
showing
on.
off the narrative?
It was more just diving into like their thought process behind creating the game, and not very much like what they're actually doing.
Oh, okay, so it was just almost like a developer walkthrough. Like they were
Kinda.
playing the game, but they were like going into stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it was very much like their thought process and the actual creation, not what they were playing. But still, to have like that much of a chunk done that you're like comfortable to show off, like you're farther along than I think a lot of people were initially expecting. So
Yeah, which I like that trend in games. If we can see a trailer for a game and know within the next 2 years we might see it, as opposed to longer than that time frame.
you mean you don't want something announced and not seeing it for 9 years after?
No, because people blow it out of proportion when that happens, and it becomes too big of a thing. People can't keep cool about it.
No. Let's move on to some acquisitions, quote unquote, kind of purchasing. We got big reveal this week of Gearbox being sold off, which, depending who you are, thank God, from the corporate giant that is Embracer for a cool price of $460 million. This also includes IPs for Borderlands, obviously, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Homeworld, Risk of Rain, Brothers in Arms franchise, and Duke Nukem, which I don't think we have any chance of seeing anyways. But Gearbox is free and gone to Take-Two.
Yeah.
Yay.
I mean, hey, Embracer has been shutting down, so for Gearbox, this is good. I mean, it still is companies being bought by companies, which is never. I mean, who knows? That's capitalism, baby.
Capitalism.
But when this news broke, Steven Totillo broke it on Twitter, and I happened to share it. And I said, "This is good for Gearbox, right?" And he responded. So I just want to actually read this because I think it's interesting. Because I was more my tweet, my Zeet, my X.
Whatever we're calling it.
Excrete.
My musk.
My excretion on X. He replied saying, splitting from a parent that is in deep cut. We're gonna do this again. Splitting from a parent that is in deep cost-cutting mode may be good. Being absorbed by a mega publisher has its pros and cons. Mergers often result in layoffs of overlapping departments, but not always, especially if Take-Two lets Gearbox operate fairly independently. So, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that he replied. And it's just, that's kind of, it's what it is, right? I mean, if they're independently and they just get to kind of do their thing, I guess this is good for Gearbox. They have titles in there, right? But yeah, as acquisitions happen, yeah, there are redundancies in roles, like we saw with Activision and Microsoft when that deal finally went through. So, I mean, we might see layoffs or two, unfortunately, from this, but long term, I think having Gearbox be away from Embracer is going to be good for Gearbox. It's good for the Borderlands IP. Um, Outside of that, I'm not even sure what else they're working on.
Which, yeah, I think at this point,
I mean, not
this,
working on, but I guess more their IPs. Yeah, Gearbox is Borderlands, and that's kind of what I know them of.
yeah, and I think with this, honestly, you're just gonna get more of that. Like, I feel like this is gonna be kind of doubling down on that. Um, because Take
No, I
Two
wonder if
doesn't
we
do a lot of
see.
risky stuff, you know?
No, and then Take Two has a weird. They have games that are they got their monetization stuff with like NBA, 2K, but then they have perfectly fine games that don't engage in that side of the industry at all. So Take Two is an interesting publisher. So I kind of would imagine they let Gearbox be Gearbox, and they maybe help find maybe this helps Borderlands get finished. I like the article on Game Industry Biz says that they have 2 Borderlands games in work. 6 titles, 2 of them being a Borderlands game, which I thought was interesting that there's 2 of them because Borderlands 4 makes sense, but I mean, I guess we get another Tiny Tina's thing.
Yeah, I would assume that, or just some other spin-off of that IP. And their movie's still coming out too, so they're just Borderlands for everybody.
Yeah, Gearbox said, or Embracer said, yeah, we saw that movie, we're out. That's the reason they got rid of them.
But with Embracer though, like Gearbox is the only one because they also did sold off Saber Interactive, which they just acquired in 2020. So
I mean, hey, when you have a $2 billion deal that's supposed to fund your whole plan, when that falls through, yeah, you're gonna sell all the stuff you bought. This Embracer group is gonna be so interesting. In 5 years when we get a better, true, someone's gonna look into it, and we're gonna get a nice little documentary or a good in-depth article about what the fuck went down with them because it's just fascinating the buying stuff up to be a force in the industry, and everyone's like, whoa, this is crazy, what are they going to do? And then this is the result. Wild.
well, yeah, it was so sudden too. Like it was like, oh, one here or there, that it just rapidly amped up to like extreme numbers, and I was like, oh shit, this isn't feasible. Let's roll everything back and get rid of people, please.
But interesting. Are you into Borderlands games?
Casually, I've only played the first 2. I've wanted to jump into 3, wanted to jump into Tiny Tina's. Just again, playing solo with those isn't my jam. Definitely, I would love to play through them, like get a group together, do that sort of thing, because that's how I experienced Borderlands 1 back in the day. But yeah, solo experience wise, not really for me.
Yeah, I agree. I just not. I don't think the theme, the style is for me. It was never. I never got into it.
Had enough of it. I think the Tiny Tina's would have been like more for me just for the high fantasy aspect of things, but you can get those on so cheap now, like whole bundled for all 5 or whatever for like $10 at times.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, during like you said, during Take Two, that's opens up, like you said, 2Ks in there with all the sports games and stuff. Um, that's they're with Rockstar, right? So GTA money coming in there now too.
Oh man, Borderlands GTA
Borderlands
crossover.
GTA.
Yeah, I mean, 2K. It just how much do they believe in Gearbox and Borderlands, and they do have 2 Homeworld titles. I don't know what Homeworld is. And then at least one new IP, according to the game industry article from Christopher Dring. So I mean, it just depends on what 2K, how much they want to invest in this. I mean, $460 million is a ton of money, but when Embracer buys Gearbox for 1.3 billion, and you can get them for more than wait. I cannot figure out how to say it's more than half off. When you could get that steep of a discount, I guess, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? And I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting times. I'm happy that this happened compared to just being fully shut down, especially with how this year's gone already. Like you said, there's obviously going to be layoffs off of it, but better than the worst case scenario. you can maybe play, if you get in the Borderlands now, maybe play it on your new all digital Xbox Series X coming out this year, though. That has
Ooh.
been rumored with the hardware talk we've recently spoke about and the handheld. But now we have fully leaked images. Pretty much exactly what you would expect from this thing to be. This came from Eric Kane on Twitter, posted these X earlier this week. And it's a white Xbox Series X, you know?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
It's there.
Which, I mean, it honestly makes a ton of sense to me. You already have it in production, and then you just take out one aspect of it. The shell, at least, you have the shell, so you just change the color, and obviously it's not that simple, but,
No.
you know, it makes sense
painted.
keeping it. It definitely is more simple than, you know, having a whole new form factor that you have to develop and send through production and such. But I mean, it makes sense for what this Xbox Series is. You know, they are just that's the box that kind of fits into your living space. It's not trying to be a statement. It's either the monolith that stands there, or it's the brick little S that's there. So it makes sense keeping it like this. Having an X option, the Series X option without a disk drive makes sense. What is the price though, right? I think that's more of what I want to know is what is this leading to? What is the price points? Is this just a Series X digital? Are there spec improvements? Because I think so far there's been no hints of that or no confirmations of there's any increase in performance, which I don't necessarily think is needed for either PlayStation 5 or Xbox consoles. I think we need to I don't know too much about development, but I feel like it's more of an optimization as opposed to pushing forward, but maybe I'm wrong in that. I just haven't played a ton of games that I'm like, this is next gen, right? And this is like crazy. I don't know. So if we don't get a performance update, cool, that's fine. That's fine. I don't think it's necessary. So what is the price point? Is this the same cost? Is it cheaper? Where are we at with it?
Yeah, you would assume if this thing was over $300, I would be confused why we're doing this at this point.
Oh, you over 300.
Like $299 would be max for me to even consider.
But that's the price of the Series S.
I know. You drop the Series S price down to $2.
Yeah.
This is your new mid-tier thing. It's just weird timing, right? Like we talked last week about PlayStation's like wanting to go full in on like an actual mid-gen refresh sort of thing. And if we get this and a handheld this year, what does that mean for Microsoft's plans then moving forward? Like, do we not get, as I guessed last week, are we not getting next gen next year then? Or wait until 2027 and letting everything right out into the sunset for an extra year? It's just, I'm confused by this being a thing.
I think it's a thing because you can lower the price point of the Series X, and that's why I think it's not going to have any performance upgrade, because the whole idea behind this is to lower that cost. I think they saw
it's another choice.
How well, yeah, and again, and that's what Microsoft with that's what Xbox is about. Choices on where to play Xbox. We don't care if you're on your phone. We don't care if you buy our console. We don't care if you happen to buy our game eventually when it comes to PlayStation. You know, a long time from now, we don't care because you're playing our stuff maybe by some point. But yeah, I mean, it's just to lower the price point. So if this is what I think is this is going to be $400. You're going to take $100 off of the Series X, and honestly, I think the Series X might drop down to $450. But that's more of a holiday thing, I think, to be competitive there. But I see this as $400 because I think a handheld can't be more than $300. That's my belief. If they're doing a handheld, I think $300 is that window. How for to hit both the casual and the enthusiast market, right? The Portal was $200 and people were like, all right, that's kind of pricey for what it is, right? So if that's kind of my opinion is you have a handheld, of course the Steam Decks are more expensive than that, but I think they are inherently different. However, if Microsoft wants to potentially put Steam and Epic Game Store on an Xbox platform, because that was another thing that Phil Spencer talked about, I could see that handheld being more costly because it essentially is closer to a Steam Deck as opposed to closer than a Switch. I feel they should make a handheld that's closer to the Switch, hit that 300 price point, drop the Series S to 200, you get 200, 300, 400, and then $500 price points of entry at any level. And then, you buy a backbone for $100, I could play on my phone. So you have a $100 option to get into Xbox, going up 200, 300 from there on out. I think that's cool. But what do you think?
I guess that 400 I would laugh openly at that. I guess I feel
just
it becomes a harder sell now. Not that, like, if you have an Xbox Series X already, I don't see you, like, there's not a reason to rush out and buy this, obviously. But as far as, like, getting new people in when they're already struggling with that idea of, like, bringing outsiders to buy a console at this point, doing it without a disc drive and changing the color, I don't see that as being like, hey, you didn't want to give us 500 before, how about 400 now for a new coat of paint? It just...
But I guess maybe it's just options though, and that's why the specs are all the same. I mean, if it's in my head, like, because I built my PC, my disk drive slot that I took out was literally just unplug and take out. Now, I don't know how they build an Xbox, but because they make PCs and such, I wonder, like, is it yeah, so is it easy just to not include the disk drive, do minor alterations to it? You have the same exact specs and everything for the Series X that you already have in production. Take out that disk drive, and then it's an option. And I think that's the key here. I don't think they're trying to say this is something that's going to come in, or this is why you should. I don't think this is going to sell people on getting into the Xbox ecosystem. I think an all digital Series X is just another option, like the Series X, the disc one, and this S, and the mobile, all that stuff. I think it's all options, and I think that's kind of that would justify that. But I get the price point. If I don't know, it's interesting.
I'll meet you in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this being 300 or even 250 if this just full on replace the Series S? Like, they just phase out the S for the rest of the generation, call it good, and you just have Series X digital and physical? Because that would solve a lot of the issues, right? Like, people being like, oh, we can't do this, like Baldur's Gate, we can't have to delay this because Series S performance, like...
That's a very good point, bringing up that even though the S hasn't caused that many issues, it has caused some issues. And a big one with Baldur's Gate. That's the big one, right? I could see them dropping the S, dropping both, and then having the Series S. Okay, we'll have a digital X and the regular X. Both drop those 100 down. So maybe it's like a 300, 400 situation, and the handhelds around there. I don't know. I get having too many options. Yeah, you kind of in the production. I mean, how does that mess up with your finances if you're making too many things?
While potentially having next gen hardware in the works to some degree.
Yeah, and that's why. And I think if next gen hardware is closer, and if a handheld's true, like if that's going to happen, I think that lends credence to this digital being just a Series X without a disk drive, because they've been focusing on a handheld, getting that perfect, and then focusing on what that next gen leap is going to be. I mean, honestly, we're going to see that. I mean, it's going to be AI interface, right? It's how far are they? That's what the handheld could really be dependent on, is how their internal DLSS AI frame generation tech is going. Because I know that's what pretty sure that's what both PlayStation and Microsoft are both internally working on, is trying to get their own proprietary frame generation tech, just like NVIDIA and AMD have. Because that stuff is crazy what it can do to how your games run.
Yeah. For a side note here, since we have someone in chat, haha, asking about the handheld. Yeah, it's been leaked slash rumored the past few weeks, corroborated by Jez Gordon on Twitter. Uh,
And Phil
and
Spencer talking about his want for an
yeah,
Xbox handheld.
openly wanting a handheld, and them doubling down that they are having new hardware this year to some degree. As far as rumors go, it's going to be a native thing, not a streaming device like PlayStation Portal. So that'll be a winner. And as Kyle mentioned earlier this week, we also got Phil talking about wanting Steam and other game stores on Xbox, which do you have an opinion on? Because as someone who I play like 2 PC games that I don't have a Steam library, I don't use other game stores, I don't have like a connection to that to want that on my Xbox.
Yeah. I think holy shit, that would be absolutely insane if you can access your Steam and Epic Games library on an Xbox console, which is what he hinted at and what he was saying to be interested in opening that platform up, opening it up to that. Microsoft makes PCs, they make Windows, right? Xbox is not far from that, and I mean, you can have your Xbox games and Xbox PC Game Pass on my. I can have that on my PC while also having Steam, right? How? I mean, I don't know what that means for a business sense if it's on Xbox platforms, but I don't. I just think it would be a monumental shift in how we think about Xbox. I think Xbox from that point is no longer just like a console, right? And they're not even that anymore. But I think that makes it clear that they are trying to be bigger than just console gaming and that's it. They are looking at the mobile space. They are looking at being a platform for games, and that is games in general. That is Steam and that is Epic, and that's wherever you want to play, whatever you want to play, you can play it on our stuff. I don't know what that would mean though for an Xbox though. Like, what does that mean for Xbox long term if that happens? I'm not sure, but I mean, having if I was in college or in high school and I'm looking at buying a laptop and that laptop was just like a Series X that had 2 modes, an Xbox mode and a laptop mode, that's pretty fucking cool, right?
Done.
And isn't that just what a PC is already? You can just do that. So like I guess there's a lot of creativity and like opportunity to be different in that space, and you could see Xbox trying different things. We'll see if it hits. I don't know if it would be good or bad long term if Steam and other games stores were on an Xbox platform.
Yeah, that gets you into the conversation about like revenue splits and how that works out and stuff that we won't
Mm-hmm.
get access to. Like that's something people can speculate on, but your average Joe's not going to have insider information on that. Um, with the Steam Deck, is that a native thing or is that a streaming?
So the Steam Deck can have native games on it, and you can get Game Pass on it, but you
Okay.
do have to like side load Windows. Like you have to do some PC gaming stuff to just be simple about explaining that. Like you do have to mod some stuff. You do have to get into it. And while there's YouTube tutorials and it is pretty simple on it, like to me, I find it incredibly simple just to follow a tutorial, right? And on anything, any tech stuff, handyman stuff, right? But it's not straightforward for a lot of people. And if if people want to have a handheld, I want to be able to pick it up and just play it. I know people that don't want to deal with all that hassle of trying to get that on there. So having it natively is something that I think needs to be with that.
Yeah, I was just asking because I almost just to be devil's advocate, um, because as far as like rumors and stuff, like Xbox is designing this themselves, but would there be a world where you just get like an Xbox branded Steam Deck? Or if they just buddy up on something like that to not take the full hit if it doesn't succeed type thing.
My thing, I think Xbox is in a position where they learn not to do stuff if they know it's not going to work out with Connect and with I mean there are other like the whole generation before.
Justice for my
I
Zune.
think they never got they had those type of stuff too, like they Tune died, they tried Mixer, like they try stuff and stop, and now they stopped trying things outside of Game Pass, I guess. I could see them, I don't know.
It's weird. It's something that we have like enough information to discuss and like kind of dissect, but not enough to like actually go off of. But I feel like this week.
Yeah, I don't think ultimately they would like buddy up unless it's like with NVIDIA or AMD for that tech. But I'm pretty sure there was a report and rumor that both, like I said, Sony and Xbox are working on their own tech to be able for their consoles to do that DLSS, the deep level super sampling or whatever, the AI frame generation, the good AI where instead of your computer needing to your graphics card need to actually make each and render each thing and image and movement, it just says AI does it for you. It says that's what you want to look like. All right, we'll fill in the gaps. It's so cool, and it like I have a low level version of it, like I think it's the 2.0 one, and it still makes some of my games jump up to 20 to 30 frames, and that's just crazy to me that it just happens, and then it's even better. You put that in handhelds, you put that in Xbox, that's going to work. And I think you want that to be your own tech, though, that just does it. If they do partner with someone, I don't think it's going to be with Steam to make a Steam Deck. I think it would be like NVIDIA or AMD to have their graphics cards and stuff inside the handheld. But like I said, I think they're doing their own.
Yeah, and all signs point to that. I was just throwing. Like I said, it's just an interesting in-between phrase. But I do think if you saw this week from Sarah Bond posted a photo recording some sort of video showcase thing. So I almost feel like this week or next we'll get something on what they're doing with that, or the announcement for the Series X digital console.
Yeah, I saw that too, and that's either, I mean, it makes sense for them to start filming stuff, honestly, this far out. You're just doing, hey, welcome to Xbox games. We're excited.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we have to show you. I could record that years ago, right? Like, so you can definitely get some early stuff done for your June showcase. You can get that done now. Is it something before then, though? Is it going to be another partner showcase? Is it another developer direct type thing? Is it just a primer for June showcase? I'm not sure.
That's where I think it's something sooner, because I don't think they would ever, like, that upfront tease the June showcase, just because that's always been sort of hush-hush. And it just awkwardly out of the blue post that. Or...
I mean, but... they got a lot of show it this June, in my opinion.
You would hope.
Oh, I think they do.
I'm still...
If they got a handheld, they have a digital console. We have to get more of Indiana Jones. That's
Halo.
More Halo. We're getting Halo.
If we say we say it every podcast till it happens, we'll speak it into existence.
Indeed. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I hear you. It's the end of March, and that's April, May, June, you know?
Time to start doing my watch backs as I do every year like a crazy person.
I love that you do that.
Full psychotic. Like I said, it's weird. It's a weird throwback, because like the one I always pick up on when they did the Halo 5 campaign demo on stage, and just how entirely different that is from the final project. Like, you can clearly see the part of the level they cut out for that to happen that just didn't make it when you get to that point of the campaign. Like, seeing stuff like that, I just love. Like, oh, this is a weird little, not Easter egg, but like, what could have been scenario.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fascinating, because, yeah, it's not something I would know, you know? But yeah, you just see how much and how... it shows how much and how little things can change in game development, and of course, what they show off is no longer there.
Yeah.
But usually, I think that's what happens in those vertical slices. Like, there's such a curated moment, almost, just to show off stuff, and then sometimes it's not.
Proof of concept at times. Uh, with that
But
though, you
yeah.
got anything else?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think you know, we kind of the handheld kind of deteriorated there at the end, but I do think we get an Xbox handheld, and I do think the Digital X is those are the two hardware things we get. I'm intrigued by your point of the Series S going away. That I think that might have credence to it. I think that if you can get the Digital X low enough in cost, why not just sell out those Series Series S's, and then move on. So that's all.
Imagine now that we got Diablo 4 on Game Pass, getting that natively on the go.
You would, but see, you would still need internet because they made it always online. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
dumb.
yeah.
Yeah, they're dumb. Like Diablo, like they could have. I could be taking it on the go right now. I mean, I can't. I don't have a handheld, but but yeah, that's.
So that to
But
tangent on. Real quick. Everyone always talks about how great like quick resume and shit is. I have hardly had a use for that function on my console since this has come out, because everything I play has some sort of online connectivity where it just kicks me to the main menu anyways. That I don't
that's
get
fair.
the benefit of it, sadly. And it makes me so sad, because it was like, this is the best next-gen thing ever. Like,
And it
must
is.
be cool.
It's so cool. It works so well. It's awesome. And then it sucks when it's like, you've been signed out. As soon as it quick resumes, you're like, ah, damn it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Sea of Thieves? That's
But-
obviously not going to sit there. Like Halo, oh, you're back at the main menu, sorry. It's...
That's fair. But, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that one.
No. It's just my toxic choice of games.
Yeah, play more single-player games. Offline games.
I did, after talking about it last week, I did download the show this week, 24.
Oh, nice.
Having a good time. I'm assuming the first game set up to make you feel really good about yourself, because I was like 11-1 at one point. After that, it just went downhill.
Makes sense. Yeah, I haven't played that again because it eats up my time. All of a sudden, like 2 hours passes. I'm like, no, I've just been like swinging at balls. Like,
There's so much. I'm still working on Like a Dragon. Got back into that this week. Did like 3 hours. I didn't even make it through a chapter. Like, I have too much to do.
yeah.
But yeah, that, I think we're at an hour. Unless you got anything else you want to throw in here to talk about.
No, I don't think so.
Good for the week. As mentioned, we'll figure something out for next week, because we'll both be hopefully enjoying wrestling Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I might be able to do it earlier, but we'll talk.
We'll talk. Yeah, Avery, thanks for stopping by, joining in the live chat. That's a first for us. Heyo, moving up.
Woo!
As always, we got Badlands backlogs.squarespace.com for all new content. I'm working on piece for sort of a series I kind of want to do with other people on like why people do play games, digging into like nostalgia and joy and just like the serotonin hits, or if it's just the different reasons. Something new I'm testing. I will link, if it's okay, if you want me to, link your WrestleMania video you posted, because I really enjoyed that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, go for it. It's something new I'm trying out.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like I said, it was a nice fresh take, because that community can be about as toxic as games.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, till next week, this was Download Q episode 16. Thanks for stopping by.